Hi. Well, back at it again with these sweet cans. I don't know. I'm making a lot of puns recently in life. Um, Keeping my brain active. I don't. Again, like yesterday, I don't have anything to really talk about. The acuity of my pains and circumstances isn't so great, which means that these videos are doing what I hope they'd be doing, which is alleviating that stress and that pain that I'm experiencing, and that I'm able to connect with other people, and I'm able to stay focused and whatnot. I haven't really been, goal oriented towards the goal I talked about when I started this. What was it, 4 days ago or whatever it was? Yeah, 4 days ago, I think, about loving my wife and loving people regardless of my circumstances. Sorry, my screen messed up again. Um, that doesn't mean that I've been like a jerk or anything. I've been caring and I've been fun person and all that to my coworkers and all that and blah 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 blah. But I just mean that I haven't actively reached out. But at the same time, I don't think that she's really looking for that right now. So, gonna give her her space. I mean, today I did sort of texting her and my brother about that I want to do something for them. So to a certain extent, I guess I was working towards that. I just realized that I won't be able to do the thing I was hoping to do as soon as I was hoping to do it. Um, the reason being is that it's a little expensive, and also that their availability does not nearly match my own. Um, that makes it a challenge. So I'll have to be very careful with how I schedule this. And also, I know that when my wife goes to see her boyfriend, um, which feels awful, it would be probably one of the better times to do it because I was thinking a Sunday, so like Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, and I know that typically she has her Saturdays with her friends, and I also know that she spends Saturdays sometimes with her boyfriend because before I turned off this notification on my phone, when I first moved out of the house, um, I had still had my set up on my phone without thinking about it. I still had boundary alerts set up for our band because I wanted to know if someone was, um, because a friend of ours had her car stolen and whatnot. So I wanted to know like if our car left town or wherever it was and stuff like that. So I had set up um, that in our car, um, and so um, first Saturday, I was with my friends and it came up and I was like, what the, what, oh, okay, whatever. And I just kind of it said, oh yeah, blah, blah, northbound, northbound on this road, blah, 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 major highway, right? I was like, okay, whatever. Didn't think about it. Whatever, right? Because I was with my friends. And then the next week it happened. And I was like, what the hell's going on with this? This happened last week too. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay, she's going to this place. I didn't look specifically where she was going because she was traveling a good distance, but I saw she was going up to another city. So, and she had mentioned before I moved out where she was planning to go to meet this person. So I had put two and two together. And so she had mentioned that she had planned to go see that person on a Saturday when I was still living there. So three occurrences kind of that. And I as soon as I realized what was happening. I turned it off. I'm not trying to be some sort of stocky creeper. I've made that mistake in the past. It was one of the things that I have messed up on before. I have sort of broken that wall of privacy. That was one of the insecurities that I talked about previously in a video. One of the things of my insecurities helping destroy a relationship, and that being overly sort of involved in what my wife was doing because I didn't have faith in her as a person. Now, mind you, that some of that lack of belief in her has substance, but at the same time, there are times that you have to take someone at their word, and I was going well beyond what was reasonable. There is reason to be concerned when someone does things that are questionable, but when you are behaving paranoid like I had been, that's unacceptable and it's uncalled for. You don't track people's phones, you don't track people's locations, you don't look at their messages, you don't do all that stuff. That's wrong, and I had done that. So as soon as I realized what was happening, I turned it off. First off, I didn't want to know that it was happening because I don't like it. So it sucks to know that she's going to see this person. Secondly, it feels like a violation of her privacy, which again, it doesn't sound like I'm really loving her as a person. It doesn't sound like I'm respecting her, which is part of loving her. And so again, I want to respect that, and I turned it off. Thirdly, it's none of my business. As one person to another person, just I wouldn't track some random person's vehicle. I shouldn't know about where some random person is driving, unless their driving habits affect me, and hers don't. I'm not driving on the road next to her. She's not carrying an organ transplant for my child or my best friend or something like that. So it has no bearing on my life. So I turned that off. So yeah. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, I'll have to schedule it in advance, and I'm sure that if I did that, if I scheduled it enough in advance, she'd be willing to. But if she has something already set up, that might not be a good feeling to run into, but it is something I am prepared to deal with if I encounter it. So, yeah. But I think it'd be fun. I was just thinking about something I've been wanting to do with my daughter, and I thought, you know what? I was like, how can I do this with my daughter? There's not a whole lot of options. And I looked it up, and then I saw something that my wife had mentioned a long time ago that she wanted to do. And I was like, this would be perfect. It would show, it would be a thoughtful thing to do for my wife. And not some sort of ploy to try and get her back, but something that would express that I listened to something that she said. It would be a very caring gesture. It would be a place of love and affection. Again, loving her without expectation of reciprocation. Of course, I would love reciprocation, but I'm not trying to receive that. I would love it. It'd be great. I hope that, she sees the person that, she left behind. But there's a whole long list of things that we never got to do that we talked about doing. And I still want to do that list. So as best as I can, this is one more thing to check off that list. So yeah. So that's goal orientation, I guess. Goal-oriented task that I did do today. Unfortunately, gonna have to postpone that a little bit. I suppose I've been a little money oriented recently. I know my paycheck's coming up in like a day or two. My friend's birthday, which he invited me, is tomorrow afternoon. My Friday's tomorrow. Tomorrow night or the day after is when I get paid. So it's like I'm sort of worried about that. And then, I think I've sort of made my decision about moving out of my friend's house. I don't think I'm going to, though I'd love to have a place of my own. It's just so much smarter to stay here and be able to save up money. I can do so much more. I can be so much more for my daughter with money. I know money isn't everything, but I can do so much more. I mean, having my own place, what is that really going to fulfill? It made me feel more satisfied, but it's not really accomplishing anything. It's just a money hole. It's just me dumping money somewhere. I don't have someone to share it with. If I had a roommate, I already have roommates, so it's not like I'm gaining any advantage there. I don't have anybody to bring back there in a sort of private sense, which, I'm obviously not against the idea of making myself feel a little less physically lonely. Obviously I'd love to spend that time with my wife. I don't want somebody besides my wife, but let's get down to brass tacks. She's not interested, so it's hard, to be lonely. So someone that can alleviate that loneliness would be great. She used me for that for a while, and that hurt. That's another thing I didn't talk about when I was talking about pain, is that she had used me to alleviate her loneliness for a while when we were separated. And I sort of realized that, but I didn't realize to the extent that she did it to until after I left, because I had talked to her about, like, hey, look, things were sort of good between us, and it was, not so bad. We were really friendly to each other. We were able to work on finances and raising our daughter. We were able to be intimate, physically at least, not emotionally. Emotionally, we were wishy-washy. We would occasionally snuggle and stuff like that, but nothing serious, nothing really relationship. We didn't go on dates or anything like that, but we had some aspects of relationship stuff. And I had posed the question to her, what about that? Look at that. That was sort of a framework of a relationship. Could that even sway your opinion of us being together? And she goes, I don't like to be lonely. I can be a nice person and I can be a friendly person, and I don't like to be lonely. And that hurt when she said that to me, because it kind of made me feel like that time we spent together was simply a means to an end to her, where I knew it didn't really have any substance, because emotionally I could feel it, but there were moments where stuff felt more tangible than just sort of a mutual beneficially, like a symbiotic relationship. There was moments where she seemed happier to be around me, or would hug me, or would smile when I'd kiss her forehead, or things like that. But, like when I went on a trip, sort of impromptu trip, and then I came back, she was super giddy to see me. She was happy to see me. She hugged me. She kissed me and all that stuff. That, for instance, was a very strange thing to me. That felt more tangible, but apparently that wasn't tangible enough, and so that was one of the things that hurt. But anyway, rewinding back, obviously, she's not interested, and I'm not against having somebody to curb the loneliness, because she's not available to help me deal with that loneliness. So, again, I don't have anybody for that, so there's no point in worrying about bringing somebody back home to a basement. so I don't need my own place to impress somebody with or to feel less ashamed of. But I mean, I got a pretty sweet deal. I'm not trying to uh, take for granted what my friend is doing for me and offering me a place for free. But for instance, I'm sure that anybody that I might be involved with would understand that the cheapest place I've found to live in the city I live in is $550 a month. That's $550 that I get to keep in my pocket a month. I'm sure that someone I got involved with would understand that's $550 that I could be using on our entertainment or myself or them or whatever. Like it's a smart move. I mean, yeah, it's basement. It's a smart financial move, but it is a little, I don't know, underhanded, I guess. But at the same time, what did I say the other day? I don't care what people think. I don't care. Like, I care what I think, and I would love to have my own place. I'd love to be able to say, yeah, I can do this. But I can. I looked over my finances. I could afford my own place. I could afford that place that I was looking at. But I'd be sinking with utilities, with with the place and all that stuff, and it's further away from where I'm working than I am here. That means more gas for commute and all that. Like, it's just more money for nothing. And if I had a roommate, I'm still thinking half of that. If I split it down the center with a roommate, like, they're getting a better deal, obviously, than wherever they're at. So, I mean, sure, if someone needed a place to live and they're like, hey, I need a place to live, I'd be like, sure, hey, you know what? I know a place, we can split it. I'd do that for somebody because, that's the kind of person I want to be. I've been talking about wanting to be that person. That's what I was just talking about, being a loving, considering, compassionate person, making sacrifices for others, right? But right now, that's no one's coming up to me. No one's. I haven't heard this plight from somebody. First off, second off, why would I go and try and find somebody to do this with? Because I'd be sinking half of that, but that's still a negative amount compared to what I'm spending now. Like, it just seems like a poor decision off of pride or off of a stigma or whatever. Like, I can be making a much wiser, smarter decision for myself. It's when I was talking about the right decision versus the easy decision versus the you know what I mean? Like, this is the right decision. The right decision is to stay where I am. Simple. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it is. I could impress Brianna by going and signing a lease and all that stuff, but it doesn't matter. I'm not trying to impress her. I'm not trying to impress my daughter. I'm not trying to impress my brother. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm not trying to be something. I'm just trying to be me. And I don't need all this stuff. I don't need anything specific. I'm just me. So I'm gonna be here. I'm not gonna go anywhere. I'm gonna be able to save a good chunk of money by being here. Save it, spend it, whatever. Like, I'm gonna be able to do more by being here, and probably be able to help out my friend by being able to give him money or pitch in for whatever he needs. How am I going to be able to do that over there? And also, like, we do stuff together. Like, every Saturday, we've been doing a game for almost a year and a half, 2 years now. Like, we do tabletop gaming, right? I'm gonna have to drive to his place anyway. I'm saving gas money being here. He wants me to be here. I mean, yeah, I'm spending some of his electricity. I'm using some of his bandwidth, but typically we're on opposite schedules. So yeah, I'm using a little bit of extra of his electricity. But his bandwidth, I'm barely affecting that. A little bit of extra water usage, yeah. I can probably pay him for utilities. I'm not really using any space that he was using. He doesn't like he wasn't using this space before. It was just there was just a old mattress. I guess there was a foosball table over here, but he just moved it into another space that wasn't really being used. And the old mattress, he just scooched it from that wall over there to that wall over there. There was his old bed that I'm using that he isn't using anymore. He has a new bed. It was down here already. He wasn't using it. You know? Like, I don't know how I'm being a resource drain on him besides utilities. And I plan to, once I get a more consistent income, because they have, there's an app that this company had that works with this, partners with this. The company I work for partners with this app, and so I can pull out some of my paycheck in advance, sort of like the Earnin app, but it's different and all that stuff and stuff. So I'll be able to sort of pull out a part of my paycheck, earlier after a while. Obviously not like within a certain amount of time, but and I'll be able to have a more consistent income flow. And once that happens, then I'll be able to give him some money to offset his internet cost, to offset his resources. I was, I'm not saying like I'm great or anything, but I was managing the renters' costs and income and all that. Not income, but the costs and their what they owed us at my wife's house when I was still living there. And I know the rough costs of what it costs for a new person to live there for roughly what it costs, at least. I mean, I generate a very small amount of trash, honestly, compared to what they generated. I buy my own groceries where they didn't buy their own groceries at my wife's house. We factored that into the cost there. Also, they used a lot of bandwidth. They used a lot of data. I don't use a whole lot. I mainly just watch Netflix and do this, I guess. I don't play a lot of video games anymore, not since I'm working, because I basically go work up until my first day off. Then I spend most of that day with my daughter, and then I go back to work for a day, and then I go have my next day off, which I spend some of it working on some other things, doing some side projects, working on goals, making some extra money on the side, and then spending time with my friends. Very little of my actual self. At least relaxing. I don't really relax. I don't really get a day off to relax because I devote it mostly to friends and family, and that's okay. I'm not upset about that. It's just a fact. My downtime is when I come home from work, take my shower, and do this and watch Netflix. That's pretty much my downtime. Spending time with friends is downtime, but to me, it's also a level of commitment. I've made that promise to my friends to spend that time with them. So there's a bit of pressure for me to be a good friend, pressure to make sure that I'm doing the best to make sure they're having a good time in regards to my participation. And maybe that's a bad way to look at it, but that's okay. I don't feel bad for that. It's who I am, and that's okay. I don't think it's a bad way to handle it, because if it was a bad way, I wouldn't have friends. I wouldn't actively pursue friends. I get satisfaction out of it. They obviously get satisfaction out of it, or else I wouldn't be their friends, huh? It's that simple. Sorry. I'm wearing pants. They're just shorts. Okay. Wow, my screen shifted red. That's weird. I wonder why that was. But anyway, forgot what I was talking about. But yeah, I guess I know the cost of what it costs. Roughly about, at least in the city I live, it's about between $40 and $70 in general utility costs, give or take. I mean, obviously there's some changes here and there, but I would assume about that. It's about right, I think. I'm probably just gonna give him $50 a month. He probably will fight me on it, but I'll probably force him to. Just because also, like, I come home very late. I mean, obviously, I come home, take a shower, come down here, and then maybe I sit around for a little bit, maybe I don't, and then I do these. So, I mean, these videos are almost immediately after I shower. It's I come downstairs, I shower, come downstairs. Well, I come home, put all my stuff away, go back upstairs, shower, come back downstairs, do whatever else I need to do, and then when I finally can sit down, but I don't have anything else to do, that's when I do these videos. So that explains, like, when I'm doing these videos. So that should help you understand about, like, when I get off work. Of course, shower times vary, but and so he's got 2 dogs, and one of his dogs doesn't like me. So, well, she doesn't like hate me. She just doesn't. She's uneasy about me. So anytime I come home, she's usually wakes up and stuff, and so that usually bothers the other dog or wakes him up, and so I feel bad. So I mean, even if he doesn't accept it as utilities, maybe he can accept it as an apology for disturbing his sleep. It's every day except for Friday that I work, he has to get up the next morning very early. So, it's not very nice for him to have to deal with that. Anyway, I was thinking maybe I was thinking waiting until my medical coverage for my job comes in to get new glasses. It'll just be cheaper that way. I mean, these have worked so far well enough. I mean, why do I need newer glasses? I mean, I'd like to see better, obviously. But I mean, I'm not trying to impress anybody. Also, I can save up more, maybe not blow my whole paycheck on a nice pair of glasses. Because I want to get good glasses that are going to last me a while, so save up some money so it doesn't blow my whole goddamn paycheck. Just, waiting on a goddamn, I mean, I gotta wait a few weeks for the glasses to come in anyway, right? So, right? So why not wait? Just save up some money. I think I'll put a nice chunk on my car, so I pay towards the principal a little bit. Do something nice with put some money in savings and then use the rest as just generic spend money, just like groceries or lunch or, just pocket money. just go from there. I mean, starting next week, I should be able to do that payout thing where I get paid almost weekly with that app thing. So that should be good, you know. Um, ooh. So I'll have a nice steady flow of cash, and that'll be pretty nice. Feel a little less broke, because I felt pretty broke recently. Because I spent my last paycheck all basically in 2 days on my daughter, groceries, with my first paycheck, daughter, and groceries pretty much, and I guess some like a not the fan, the plastic dresser, um, some other stuff, some lunch, and when I say groceries, um, things like that. I'll need to get a new charging cable because I screwed this one up, or I screwed my phone up, one with two. I've had nothing but trouble with charging this type of phone. I had to get my last phone, the same make model year of phone, replaced because the charger port just stopped charging. Luckily, I had coverage on it, but hopefully I won't have to do the same thing again with this one. The last one would still charge, but the charging port stopped working. But it had wireless charging, so I might just stick with that if this port does go out. Just get a really good wireless charger. It's another reason why not to move into my own place, because then I can save up that kind of money. Well, it won't break the bank, and it won't be like that hard of a decision to either pay off my phone, get a better phone, or things like that. I can make decisions like that more easily, and I can take care of the financial responsibilities that I still have to my wife, because we still have credit card debt together, and technically a mortgage. Both of my car and my wife's van are both in our names. Technically, the car we gave my brother is still in our names, and things like that. So, I mean, those still... Well, yeah, but we got that one paid off. So, technically, no, that's not an issue anymore. But registration-wise, we need to sell it to him or get it registered again in our names. That's another thing we're going to have to do. We're probably going to have to file for separation, or that's going to have to happen probably here soon. I don't want to do that, but I love being married to my wife, even if it means not being with her, but it makes things easier. I already put on my taxes. Well, not on my taxes, but on my income forms that I'm separated from her, that I'm filing independently. So, I mean, but filing for separation would probably be the wisest thing. I'd rather be separated from her than divorced. It'd make her life easier, and I know getting divorced in this state is not easy. You have to take a bunch of classes and stuff, and from what she told me last time we talked about separation and divorce and all that, she doesn't have any desire to be married again, so that means that she shouldn't need to be divorced. So, it means we only need to be separated legally. At least that. And apparently that's a lot easier to do in this state than divorce. Well, she does want to get remarried. We can go through that then. Or if I want to get married, though I doubt it. I really doubt it. Someone real special's got to come along to have that happen. The first time that we broke up, I couldn't accept that we couldn't be together. So she had us go to a life counselor, right? The life counselor didn't understand what my wife wanted the life counselor to do at first, and so the life counselor was trying to save our marriage. And the life counselor finally understood and was trying to say well, sometimes she's well, then I guess get a divorce. And she was telling me that sometimes people, when they get divorced, they end up getting remarried. Yeah, that's true. We ended up getting back together. But look what ended up happening. All for very dumb reasons. I'm not saying her pain is dumb, or that we're dumb, or anything like that. Just that some of the things that happened were dumb. That the conversations that led to her getting hurt, me getting frustrated, and all that stuff were dumb. And some of the choices I made were really stupid. Like me choosing to try and kill myself. That was dumb. That was the dumb part. I told somebody about that at work today, one of my coworkers. And I tried killing myself about a year ago. You took it really well. I think he took it so well because he didn't know what to say, or because I was just talking about it so matter-of-factly, almost like a joke. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway. Day number a lot. And I still love my wife.